We all know that meditation can be a challenge at times. You sit down on the mat, you're determined to focus and concentrate, and what does your mind do? It runs off who knows where into daydream land after only a few seconds. This can be really frustrating, and it can actually even be stressful at times when you find that there's almost an inner conflict within you. There's that part of you that's determined to stay centered and focused, the other part that wants to run off somewhere, and the two are kind of doing battle, so that what should really be a very relaxed thing can end up being a little bit stressful. Another challenge that a lot of people have, even when their meditation is going quite well, is that they're really unable to integrate their meditation into their day. So what this means is that while they're sitting there for maybe 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, whatever it might be, they feel really good. They enjoy their meditation. They sink deep into it. But the moment then they stand up and kind of go back into the world, maybe go to work, do whatever they're doing during their day, they're kind of the energy, the good feelings that they could feel when they were meditating, they get lost. They vanish. And so this can be an issue. What I've always loved is the Zen idea of taking meditation or Zen out into the fields. In other words, those monks, they did a lot of sitting meditation. They'd sit there, maybe be staring at the wall. They might do that for hours and hours every day. But then when they had to go out to grow the rice, they would bring that same level of focus, that same kind of meditative spirit with them in whatever they did. And I think this is a beautiful ideal. And if we can kind of start to achieve that, now it mightn't be 24/7, but the more we can start to integrate meditation into our day, then obviously the more impactful it will be, and the more we're simply going to enjoy our day, because those beautiful feelings we have when we meditate, we're going to be carrying those with us when we do our work, when we go for a walk, when we go for a run, whatever it may be. Now, in the Mastering the Mind course, there are a few ways which we use to kind of help you, A, meditate better, and B, integrate meditation in everything you do. Now, the first part of the course was actually mastering the chakras, mastering your chakras. And what was great about that part is in it, you learn to connect very strongly to your body's main energy centers. Well, what we can now do is we can leverage that ability by anchoring our awareness in the chakras, or maybe your preferred chakra, feeling that energy, kind of blissing out almost in it. And then keeping a little bit of your awareness on that point, going about your day. And you find that when you do that, you're actually able, with a bit of practice, to carry that meditation energy with you into whatever it is you're doing. Now, interestingly here, my kind of philosophy goes against that of some Buddhist kind of sects. Now, in some Buddhist ways of thinking, they really are very much averse to pleasure, because, as the Buddha very rightfully pointed out, desire and attachment leads to suffering. And if you look at any time you're suffering, there's almost always, if not always, going to be an element of desire or attachment connected. Maybe it is you want something, you don't get it, you suffer, or you get something and it's great, but then the world keeps moving and you want things to stay the same. You're in a relationship, you want it to be like those heady first days of the relationship, and guess what? 3 years later, the dynamics have changed and you still want it to be like it was at first, and you're attached to that, and now you suffer. So that's very true. And as a result, many Buddhist philosophies kind of shy away from pleasure. They're like, you know what, pleasure's just one step from attachment, and that's just a step from suffering, so better not to tempt ourselves. But interestingly, in Buddhism, there's also the idea of really immersing yourself in the present moment, right? Being really present. And what does pleasure help you do? It can really help anchor you in the present moment, because if you're enjoying yourself, think of a time when you had a really great meditation session. It just felt so good that you didn't want it to end. Maybe you had an alarm because you had to go off to work. The alarm went off and you're like, oh, if only I could have spent a bit longer here because it was just so enjoyable. And when you really hit that pleasure spot, guess what? Your mind is less likely to wander off because your mind is always looking for the better deal. So you're sitting there meditating and maybe you're enjoying yourself a bit, but then your mind says, hey, listen to me because I've got this great idea. If we can just figure out a way to get this, then you're going to feel really, really happy. You're way happier than you are now. And so you're like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. And that thought then tugs you away from the present moment and the meditation. Or maybe the mind's like, you're meditating and it's like, oh, you better be careful because if you don't think about this, this, and this, then you're going to end up suffering. So it can get us both by tempting us with the carrot or kind of making us afraid of the stick. And either way, it draws our mind away from the present moment. But when we're really enjoying ourselves, when we're really luxuriating in the pleasure of the moment, and our mind pops up and says, hey, come with me, then you're like, no worries, mate. I'm actually feeling pretty good as I am right now. And you're much less likely to listen to your mind and let it drag you away. So actually, we can use pleasure as an anchor point. So when we get really proficient at connecting to our chakras on a deep level, then we feel the pleasure. And because that pleasure is kind of thrumming within us, we just want to nurture it and hold it there as we go about our day. And as a result, we'll be able to take that meditation energy with us into the day. Now, with the Mastering Your Mind course, however, there's also another really important element to it that goes beyond just learning to anchor yourself in energy centers. And that's just working with the mind, because the mind is what I'd call a thought-making machine, and it's wanting to spit out thought after thought after thought. And if we're trying the meditation approach of going, hey, let's not think, let's kind of try to push our thoughts away so we can just sit in silence, then we very often have, again, that sort of stress or tension, that inner conflict, because our thoughts are kind of wanting to rumble this way and we're pushing them that way, and we get this tension as the two do battle in the center. Now, that obviously isn't a great method for relaxation and good meditation. So what we really need to do is learn to roll with the thoughts. In fact, in Mastering Your Mind, I sort of demonstrate to you with the meditation I've created called Thinking Meditation that it's not actually the thoughts that are the problem. They're not what's taking you away from meditation. It's how we kind of react to them. So when we learn to roll with our thoughts, we can actually use them to help anchor us in meditation. I mean, that is a crazy, crazy thought. But you'll discover this in about 1 minute at the course when we do our thinking meditation technique. You'll see in 1 minute flat that you can actually stay in a deep meditation state, in a state where you've got a lot of meditation energy, even while thinking, and bizarrely, the thoughts actually help you to stay in that state. So very fascinating stuff. So what we're really doing then in Mastering Your Mind is going, hey, let's work with sorts of meditation that are pleasurable because we want to keep doing them, and that work with as opposed to against our mind. If we're trying to do battle with our mind, it's going to lead to frustration. But if we can do meditation techniques that say, you know what, the mind is going to generate these thoughts, that's okay, but now can we roll with it? Can we work with it to go deeper into meditation? And that is precisely what we do with thinking meditation. So the ultimate aim then is to be able to take our meditation energy, that feeling we get when we meditate, and integrate it into everything we're doing, whether we're walking, cooking, cleaning, surfing the web, going for a run, whatever. There's almost every circumstance you can think of, you can actually go to it with that meditation energy, and that's what we'll show you how to do in the course. Okay, so look, if that sounds fascinating to you, then come along. These are really innovative techniques. These are techniques which I've developed over 25 plus years of meditation daily practice. and you won't really find them elsewhere. So they're unique techniques, and they'll help you, as I said, take meditation into your day, and then it becomes practical, because then, think about it, you're at work and you're meditating, you're getting that meditation energy, and guess what? You're getting paid to meditate. Now that, to me, is perfection. So if that sounds good, check out the course, and I hope to see you there.